welcome to you as you join us on today's episode of Tax Matters. My name is Pearl Naimaka and with me is
Chiamaka Ohauchi.
It is in order to wish everyone a very happy new year. We're happy to be here and we do wish everyone a resoundingly successful 2019. The year 2018 ended on a very cheering note for the FIRS and indeed for the country at large.
Our viewers will recall that at various times towards the end of the year 2018, we spoke to the executive chairman of the FIRS on the tax collection performance of the service, whether they will meet the target set for them by the federal government, whether they will hit the 5 trillion naira mark or surpass it. Of course, Mr. Fowler expressed optimism that they would hit 5 trillion naira. As it turned out, the FIRS did not only hit 5 trillion naira, but they made 5.32 trillion naira.
So on this episode of Tax Matters, we are celebrating. We are celebrating the FIRS and we are celebrating Nigeria. Basking in the euphoria of that unprecedented achievement, the FIRS on Monday, the 7th of January 2019, held the 2019 edition of its stakeholders retreat.
Of course, like for every retreat, it was an occasion to look back and chart the course for the future. The story of that retreat will be the main course on the menu on today's episode of Tax Matters.
However, in the spirit of looking back, we will first of all bring you the story of the World Press Conference hosted by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, on Christmas Eve, 24th of December 2018. The minister began by looking at global economic trends.
The global economy today is generally expected to slow down in 2019, with a modest growth of 2.7%. The same trajectory is expected of our continent, the continent of Africa. And Africa is expected to grow slightly better than the global economy at a rate of 2.9% for the year 2019. As you may recall, before this government came into office in 2015, Nigeria's economy was already in decline, occasioned by a sharp drop of crude oil prices in the international crude oil market. Nigeria had always, unfortunately, depended on crude oil prices for as much as 70% of government revenue and 90% of foreign exchange.
With regards to revenue generation,
the Ministry of Finance is prioritizing revenue generation. And as a result, the whole of my team is charged with implementing some revenue growth strategies that we have already identified that aim to boost revenue performance by deploying a number of new and refreshed initiatives. We have recently constituted eight tax appeal tribunals across the nation to accelerate the resolution of over 209 pending cases relating to tax revenues of about 18.804 billion US dollars, 205.64 billion naira, 821 million euros. We will also improve collaboration between our revenue collecting agencies, including the Nigerian Customs Service, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, and other trade partners to share information and intelligence that will improve revenue collection and make the revenue collection more efficient. By automating many of our revenue collection processes, such as the deployment of health pay in the health sector, edu pay in the education sector, and e-collections by our revenue authorities, we have seen revenue growing to record high levels. More specifically, the Federal Inland Revenue Service has deployed the e-service platforms that have automated end-to-end tax process from registration to collection of tax clearance certificates. The tax initiatives spearheaded by FIRS also include the automation of VAT collection at source in some key sectors. Under my tenure as Minister of Finance, I intend to continue championing such digitalization transformation initiatives that have proven to be a good way forward for our revenue generation drive.
On the gains recorded from the Voluntary Assets and Income Declaration Scheme and efforts aimed at tracking assets for tax purposes.
The Voluntary Assets and Income Declaration Scheme (VAIDS), which has closed in June this year, had recorded recoveries of 35 billion naira, and also there's another 92 billion naira that have been staggered for payments over a period of 3 years. The asset tracing team have discovered assets that were not reported previously in the books of the federal government of Nigeria. Going forward, we plan to launch Project Lighthouse that seeks to use big data analytics to provide intelligence to tax authorities on eligible taxpayers and their real taxable incomes and assets.
An interactive session followed the minister's address.
If we begin to increase tax again, wouldn't that be a burden on the citizen? Secondly, on property tax, I know there are still so many houses that are not taxed and they are just lying fallow. I don't know what FIRS is doing to actually improve tax on property tax. Then lastly, sir, I would like to know the new areas in which the FIRS want to begin to generate another set of revenue through tax.
In my speech, I said that we have seen a significant improvement in tax performance, about 40% compared to 2017. But I also said that this performance still represents 53% of the budget performance of 2018. So we still have more work to do. For SMMEs, what is likely to happen is we reduce the taxes, but there are some special taxes that we will be looking at imposing. For example, luxury taxes. So if you have a jet, we will be taxing you specially for that. If you have a special yacht, we will be charging you for that. And also in terms of excise duties, there are also some new areas where excise duties will be introduced. And we haven't yet got all the approvals that we require, but one of the major areas might be that of carbonated drinks that are produced in our country.
On property tax.
Just for the record, we're not charging property tax. We're charging taxes on corporate organizations that own property that have not filed any returns or paid any taxes. By law, where a company does not file or pay any taxes, we're allowed to use estimated assessments based on turnover. And I'll give you a very simple example. If you have a turnover of 100 million and you do not file or pay any taxes, we assume that 20% of that 100 million is profit. And we tax that 20% at 6%, meaning that if you have a turnover of 100 million, you pay tax in the region of about 6 million. In terms of the properties, we looked at the value of the properties to estimate the minimum turnover. And based on that, we asked them to pay taxes. About 569 have come forward and have paid taxes. We have done an assessment of 8 billion, out of about 3 billion has been paid, while the others have asked for instrumental payment. Also, 116 claimed not to own those properties. 30 of them have put it in writing, claiming that they do not own the properties in question. And we have written accordingly to the Ministry of Finance and the other authorities, and I believe that governments will take those properties over in line with the law. In terms of what we have done, we have deployed technology to make tax payment as convenient, as transparent as possible. Right now, all taxpayers who have a tax ID, who make a payment, can download their receipts, print their receipts. They can also apply for the tax license certificate online and also receive it online.
And this clarification.
I want to, on behalf of the Ministry of Finance and its agencies, restate that we're not increasing tax rates. We're increasing tax collections by expanding the tax base. If anything, what we're likely to do, but this is a decision that would involve the economics management team, FEC, as well as the National Assembly. If anything, we are considering reducing taxes to the lower levels of businesses, that is the small, medium enterprises. But we're doing everything we can to make sure that high net worth individuals are found out and that they pay the right level of taxes that they are supposed to pay. We're also going to implement special luxury taxes that has since been approved but not implemented.
Welcome back. Now to the story of the 2019 FIRS Stakeholders Retreat. Perhaps in a bid to find other ways of generating revenue, the theme of the 2019 FIRS Stakeholders Retreat was Parliamentary Support for Effective Taxation of the Digital Economy.
In recent years, the digital economy has become an area of concern for tax jurisdictions all over the world. You can buy virtually anything online. Borders have become blurred and so taxes are lost. As you will find out in the course of the episode, to tap into this new area, new legislations are required, and that obviously informed the choice of theme for the retreat.
It also informed the list of invited participants. Chairmen and members of committees on finance of both the Senate and the House of Representatives, as well as movers and shakers in the revenue family. In this regard, Mr. Tayo Ogubenro presented a paper on Taxation of the Digital Economy, Challenges for Developing Countries and the Way Forward. But before then, Mr. Fowler welcomed everyone.
Basically, we're here very early in the year to set a course for the year 2019 and to also review past performance in 2018 and the past 3 years. I believe a lot of us, or if not all of us, understand the importance of tax revenue in the development of any country. We have invited the Parliament to come here. They have oversight functions of the FIRS. They're also the lawmakers. And in the dynamic world where taxation is changing by the day, not by the year, by the day, we also need them to understand and also provide suggestions as to how we can improve our performance and also change laws or amend laws as required. The 2019 budget has not yet been approved, but we hear in the corridors of power that the target for FIRS is in the region of 8 trillion naira. And with their support and the support of all taxpayers, we believe it is achievable.
Mr. Fowler announced with flourish the revenue collection performance of the service in 2018.
We collected a total of 5.32 trillion naira, which was an increase of 1.292 trillion over collection in 2017, making it the highest in the history of the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Now, this is not the first time that the FIRS will be collecting taxes in the region of 5 trillion naira. In the year 2012, when oil sold at $100 per barrel on the international market and accounted for 64% of collection, the FIRS collected 5.007 trillion. In contrast, and on a more positive note, with oil selling at an average of $70 per barrel and accounting for 45% of collection, the FIRS netted 5.32 trillion naira in 2018, the very first time in the history of Nigeria.
In the area of VAT, in 2018, we crossed the 1 trillion mark. It is, however, important to note that 85% of this VAT is distributed among the state governments. And so we'd like to request that the state governments, in partnership, continue to assist us in this effort of collecting VAT on their behalf.
The Federal Minister of Finance was represented at the retreat by the Director, Technical Services in the Ministry.
I want to use this opportunity to appreciate the Executive Chairman, Dr. Tunde Fowler, for his commitment to taxation in the country. He's been very, very active in taxation, and we want to, as a ministry, appreciate him for the efforts.
There were also goodwill messages from the Chairman, House Committee on Finance, and that of the Senate.
I want to assure you of our commitment and support in ensuring that your mandate are achieved. The National Assembly has and will continue to support every viable means that will lead to an efficient tax system under digital economy. Most significantly, we will continue to enact laws that will ensure improvement in tax assessment and collection drive in the country.
It is our hope that at the end of this second retreat, the members of the National Assembly, management of federal revenue will come up with legislation that will lead in effective taxation of the digital economy. It is my honor and indeed privilege to declare the Federal Revenue Service Second Management and Second Retreat open.
London, New York or Lagos, business or holiday, home or office, you can now carry out your tax transactions from anywhere in the world. You can now file all your tax returns, pay online, get a receipt and even process your tax clearance certificate from anywhere in the world online and in real time. All you need to do is log on to www.firs.gov.ng and click on e-services and be introduced to the world of innovation, convenience and transparency from the FIRS. You can also pay stamp duty as you register a new company with the CAC or for other transactions that require stamp duty payment online. You can also file your withholding tax returns and determine the withholding tax deducted from you is in government covers so that you can get your receipt within 45 days as long as the deduction has been remitted. Yes, all of this and more online at www.firs.gov.ng/e-services. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC. Please note that all FIRS services are free of charge. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. It pays to pay your tax.
Welcome once again. On this episode of Tax Matters, we are sharing with you what transpired at the FIRS 2019 Stakeholders Retreat with the theme, Parliamentary Support for Effective Taxation of the Digital Economy. We want to share with you excerpts from the paper presented by Mr. Tayo Ogugbenro.
Before I go to the paper, I have a preamble. As of today, the greatest taxi company has not a single car in its fleet, and that is Uber. The greatest retailer or distributor has not a single shop. It has displaced all shopping outlets. As a matter of fact, the biggest distributor prior to the arrival of Amazon has declared itself bankrupt in 2018 in America. Today, the company with the largest hospitality industry, who is the biggest operator in the hospitality industry, has not a single room of its own as an hotel. And that is Airbnb. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the world of digital technology, displacing what we know about brick and mortar sets or conventional ways of doing business.
With that background, Mr. Tayo Ogugbenro launched into his presentation.
I have just given us this preamble to tell us that we are in a critical condition. If we do something today, we make the changes in tax law today, it's implemented today, we are 5 years behind South Africa. Kenya will be 3 years behind them. Time is no longer on our side. Now let's look at the characteristics of the digital economy, which makes it very scary. And this is why the taskman is not able to catch them. They require little or no physical presence for value creation. As all of us are here, they don't need to be here. They can see what is happening right here, but they are not physically here. And that's dangerous for the traditional ways of collecting tax. And they have unparalleled reliance on intangibles, in which case what they've designed is very difficult for you to just move over. and look at it again, there's difficulty in determining the jurisdiction in which the value is created. Where is the value created? So even when you determine the tax liability, it's difficult to know the jurisdiction where the tax is to be paid.
And then these recommendations.
What is the way forward for us in Nigeria? I have about 6 suggestions, and I'll go through it very, very quickly. And they're very simple ones. And we can categorize them into regulations, legislation, and capacity development. Let's start from the major one, which is the capacity development. In 2016, European Commission said, Ireland, you are giving an unfavorable tax regime to Apple. And we think that Apple should pay Irish government about 16 billion euros. Apple disputed it. At the end of the day, European Commission insisted that Apple must pay the amount of the money. The government of Ireland said no, Apple should not pay. Apple also said it should not pay. Then European Commission said, let's go to court. Apple said, to resolve this issue, what do you want me to do? They said, deposit the money in an escrow account while we resolve this issue. In less than 2 months, Apple deposited the money. We are talking of 14 billion euros deposited in an escrow account. If there's no idea of am I liable or not, will Apple agree? Now, that can only happen when we have the right people that are in charge of the right place. These laws have been there. But some people took a long and hard look at the Irish law, at the European law, and decided and realized that, oh, there is a gap for which Apple has taken advantage of, for which Irish government should not have given to Apple, and for which must be blocked. So, for our own purpose, we require people that are very knowledgeable about digital economy, that have deep knowledge of operation of digital economy in the context of current fiscal policies and tax laws, such that while we are still trying to do something to our regulation and tax law, at least those guys are there to help us out.
Mr. Ogugbenro's paper was well received and attracted comments and observations from the audience.
The retreat also featured review of activities of operational groups of the FIRS. Tax Matters spoke to the Executive Chairman, FIRS, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, the Coordinating Director, Domestic Taxes Group, and to the Chairman, House Committee on Finance.
We were able to generate 5.32 trillion. So what's the magic?
It was a self-imposed target for ourselves. We said to ourselves that we want to make 5.3 trillion because we believed in ourselves. And with the help of God, with the support of the National Assembly and all stakeholders, the Ministry of Finance, and more importantly, the staff of FRS, we were able to do it. So it was what we set for ourselves, and we had confidence in ourselves that we would do it. We always say, together we can, and together we did.
We are looking at amendment of our tax laws as mentioned by the paper presenter to be able to tax the digital economy. So what are your plans? Are you looking at passing an executive bill?
Well, certainly, but we're not rushing into that. A number of countries have taken different approaches, and I'll say they passed emergency laws to make sure they don't lose tax revenue. We do have a committee meeting in Paris for the UN, and based on our discussions and decisions made at that meeting, I'll most likely come back and, if need be, send an executive bill to the House so it can be passed before the tenure ends in May 2019. As we've had members of the Senate Committee on Finance, members from the House Committee on Finance, all here present, they've heard the discussions. I believe they have received more information on the digital economy and the need for us to also amend our tax laws as the dynamics of business changes.
And from the National Assembly, a pledge of support.
We just discussed about the challenges of taxation in digital economy, and we have all agreed as part of what we have discussed to look at all those areas that require some amendments. And we advise Federal Revenue Service to also set a committee that will look at those areas, those challenges, so that they can present an executive bill to the National Assembly for us to quickly pass in order to be able to make sure they perform optimally.
Once again, we want to congratulate the FIRS on the feat achieved in 2018. Like Oliver Twist, the country is asking for more. To you, our viewers, we make just this one request. Join us next week on this same platform, same station, same day of the week, same time of the day.
Bye for now.